The email came in while I was reviewing quarterly reports for my consulting firm. Congratulations, Emily. You've been selected as the new regional director. I smirked, knowing my husband Daniel would soon see the announcement. My husband of 14 years had no idea that I'd spent the past 6 months meticulously preparing his affair partner for exactly this moment. I first met Emily Lawson at a gala for a nonprofit a few months ago. She was ambitious, confident, and most importantly, had no idea who I was. Daniel had been careful to keep his affair and work life separate. He thought I was blind to the fact that for the last year, he'd been sneaking away for late-night rendezvous with her, while I found hotel receipts hidden in his coat pockets. He thought he was clever, telling me he was working late, while expense reports revealed romantic dinners for 2 at high-end restaurants. Don't worry about the new regional director. He could laugh just last week when I casually asked him about the leadership change. You're too old to feel threatened by her. At 43, I was just 3 years older than Daniel, but lately he'd been obsessed with youth, working out obsessively, buying flashy clothes, trying to recapture some lost sense of his prime years. I'd built my consulting firm from the ground up, achieving success that far surpassed his stagnant middle management position. It's cute how seriously you take your little business, he'd say. But my firm brought in triple his salary, something he conveniently ignored. When I first uncovered the affair, I had plenty of opportunities to confront him. But instead, I bided my time, making careful moves behind the scenes. I discreetly transferred our assets into separate accounts, kept a record of his misdeeds, and most crucially, I started attending the same industry events as Emily. Emily was everything Daniel had convinced himself he wanted. A 30-year-old go-getter, smart, talented, and eager to climb the corporate ladder. She didn't realize she was merely a pawn in my game. Over dinner after our third networking meeting, I casually offered to help her career. The regional director position is coming up, I mentioned, swirling my wine. With your background, you'd be perfect for it. I did mention that I sat on several boards of companies that worked directly with Daniel's firm, nor did I reveal that my influence could easily push her into the role. I'm not sure, she hesitated, visibly unsure of herself. I don't know if I have enough experience. Trust me, I smiled. I'll help you prepare for the interviews. I know exactly what they're looking for. For the next 6 months, I mentored Emily, connecting her with key people, helping her perfect her interview materials. All the while, Daniel's arrogance grew, and he became more dismissive of me, assuming that he could continue his affair in peace. The company-wide email announcing Emily's promotion came at exactly 9 a.m. By 9:05, Daniel was calling me in a panic. Did you see this? He demanded. They made Emily the new regional director. Oh, I feigned surprise. Emily who? Emily Lawson. She's too young and inexperienced for this role. This can't be right. I could picture him pacing in his office, hands running through his meticulously styled hair. But you always say younger people bring fresh perspectives, right? Maybe that's a good thing. He hung up before I could say another word. Later that evening, he returned home smelling of expensive whiskey, his face a mask of frustration. This is a disaster, he muttered, pulling at his tie. She's going to be my boss. How could they choose her over me? I'm sure she's qualified, I said nonchalantly while typing away at my laptop, reviewing Emily's first executive action, an in-depth audit of Daniel's entire department. I couldn't help but smile. She's not qualified, he grumbled. This is some political maneuvering, I can feel it. I don't buy it. Maybe she just interviewed well, I suggested. In the weeks that followed, Emily proved to be the meticulous, detail-oriented boss Daniel never expected. She scrutinized every expense, every long lunch, every late night at the office. She implemented new reporting procedures that made it nearly impossible for Daniel to cover personal costs with company funds, something I had documented over months. She's out to get me, Daniel complained one evening, referring to a client dinner he'd expensed. She said the receipt looked fishy. I knew exactly which receipt he meant. A dinner he tried to pass off as a business meal when it was, in fact, a romantic evening with Emily. He'd poorly edited the date to hide that it was Valentine's Day. Sounds stressful, I murmured, hiding my grin behind my wine glass. 3 months into Emily's role, she summoned Daniel to her office. I knew this was coming. We discussed it just the day before over lunch. Daniel came home early that evening, pale and shaken. I've been fired, he blurted. That witch found irregularities in my expense reports. She says I've been misusing company funds. Oh no, I gasped with feigned concern. Can they prove it? She had everything. Detailed records going back months, receipts for personal trips, even hotel charges. Someone must have been tracking me. How awful, I murmured, thinking of the spreadsheets I had shared with Emily just last week. What's your plan? I'm going to fight this. I've been there for 20 years. They can't just fire me over a few mistakes. I waited until he stormed upstairs before texting Emily. How did it go? Her response came quickly. Exactly as planned. Legal has the evidence you provided. He won't be getting a cent in severance. That night, I lay awake, listening to Daniel's furious phone calls, trying to salvage his crumbling reputation. But Emily had been thorough. My connections on the board ensured that his appeal was hopeless. I don't understand. Daniel kept muttering to anyone who'd listen. How did she get all this information? I smiled in the darkness, knowing the next phase of my plan was about to unfold. The following day, my lawyer would deliver the divorce papers, complete with evidence of his affair and financial misconduct. Emily, for all her talent, was nothing but a tool in my larger scheme. She thought she had earned her position through hard work and mentorship, but she had no idea that it was I who had placed her there, ensuring the right people saw her potential at the right time. Daniel finally came home around sunset, the divorce papers crumpled in his hand. Is this your idea of revenge? He demanded, throwing them onto our kitchen island with a thud. Getting your little protege to fire me wasn't enough. I looked up from my laptop where I'd been reviewing expansion proposals for my consulting firm. My protege. Don't play dumb, he snapped. I spoke to people after the firing. You've been seen with Claire at networking events. You helped her land that role. I closed my laptop slowly, relishing the moment. Actually, Claire helped herself. She's brilliant. I just made sure the right people noticed her. His face flushed as realization hit him. You knew about us. This whole time. The Four Seasons on Valentine's Day. That client dinner at Café de Lumière. I knew everything, Daniel. I just waited for the perfect moment. You manipulative. Careful, I cut him off, my voice steady. I've recorded everything. My lawyer would love to add verbal abuse to the growing pile of evidence. He deflated, slumping into a chair by the island. How long have you been planning this? Since I found the first hotel receipt, I replied, the sting of discovery still vivid in my mind. But instead of confronting you, I chose patience. I know the value of playing the long game. What do you want then? The money? The house? I laughed bitterly. Daniel, I made 3 times your salary last year. The house is in my name. And your name? Not a trace of it on my business accounts. Remember how you said mixing business and marriage was too complicated? His face went pale. All those years of belittling my success, dismissing my business ventures as mere distractions, now coming back to haunt him. The divorce terms are fair, I continued. You get your personal accounts and your car. I get my business, my properties, and the evidence of your financial misconduct stays sealed, so long as you don't contest anything. You've thought of everything, haven't you? That's why I'm a successful consultant. Speaking of which, Claire sends her regards. She's thriving in her new role. He stormed out, slamming the door so hard I could hear the windows rattle. An hour later, his mother, Marianne, was on my doorstep. How could you do this to him? She demanded, her face flushed with indignation. Using a young woman to destroy his career. I leaned against the doorframe, my gaze steady. Interesting. You're more upset about his career than the affair. Did you know about that too, Marianne? She faltered. He said it was just a few mistakes, that you pushed him away by working too much. Would you like to see the receipts? The hotel charges. The designer gifts he bought her with company funds while telling me we needed to cut back on expenses. That's not. Or maybe you prefer to read the text messages where he mocked my age, called me a desperate woman fighting for relevance. Marianne's anger evaporated. The carefully curated image she built of her perfect son, now shattering before her eyes. The company, she tried one last time, 20 years of service. The company made their decision based on the evidence of financial misconduct. I simply helped them find the right person to uncover it. After she left, I poured myself a glass of wine and opened my laptop. Several messages were waiting for me, one from Claire. The board loves the changes I'm making. Thanks again for your mentorship. Another from my lawyer. Daniel's attorney has agreed to the divorce terms. They won't contest. I smiled, recalling all those dinners where Daniel had patronizingly explained business concepts to me, never knowing that I was orchestrating multi-million-dollar deals while he was stuck in his middle management bubble. The weeks that followed were filled with predictable attempts at damage control. Daniel tried claiming wrongful termination, but Claire's audit was airtight. He attempted to assert claims to my business assets, but our prenup and my meticulous separation of finances shut that down immediately. He even tried to rally sympathy from our social circle, but the evidence of his affair and financial misconduct had already spread like wildfire. I heard Daniel's living in a tiny apartment now, my friend Natalie remarked at lunch one day. He can't even get a corporate job. Something about his references. I sipped my water, keeping my face neutral. I hadn't sabotaged his references, his own actions had done that. Claire's audit had uncovered years of his padding expense reports, taking credit for his team's work, and misleading clients. No amount of charm could erase that paper trail. "How's Claire doing?" Natalie asked, raising an eyebrow. She was one of the few who'd known about my plan all along. "Thriving," I replied with a smile. "She's implemented a complete department overhaul. Productivity's up by 40%, and she still has no clue about you and Daniel." "None. She thinks I'm just a successful businesswoman who decided to mentor a promising executive." Which is true, by the way. She earned that position. I just made sure the right people saw her potential at the right time. The divorce was finalized quickly. Daniel's attorney, seeing the overwhelming evidence against him, advised him to accept my terms. He kept his personal accounts much depleted by his affair's expenses, his car still under loan, and his wardrobe full of the designer suits he'd bought to impress Claire. I kept my business, my properties, and my dignity. The evidence of his misconduct stayed sealed, a courtesy he didn't deserve but one that served my purposes perfectly. His professional collapse spoke for itself. 6 months after Daniel's firing, I attended a business awards dinner where Claire was being honored as Executive of the Year for her department's turnaround. She invited me to sit at her table, a gesture of appreciation for my mentorship. "I couldn't have done this without you," she said during her acceptance speech, nodding toward me. "Your guidance showed me what women can achieve when we truly support each other." I caught a glimpse of myself in the reflection of my champagne glass. A successful businesswoman in her prime, not the aging wife Daniel had dismissed. Age had nothing to do with power. It was about knowing how to play the long game. Later that evening, Claire shared some interesting news. "You'll never believe this," she laughed. "Apparently, I was brought in to expose an executive's misconduct. He'd been having an affair with someone in the company. Scandalous, right?" "Very scandalous," I agreed, hiding my smile behind my champagne flute. "Good thing you caught him." Later that night, alone in my house, never ours, since I'd inherited it from my grandmother and kept it in my name despite Daniel's insistence on adding his name to the deed, I received a final text from Daniel. "I know what you did. You orchestrated everything." I replied with a single word: "Prove it." Then I blocked his number and opened my laptop to review new proposals for my consulting firm. Daniel had thought he was upgrading to a younger, more ambitious partner, not realizing he was just a pawn in a game he didn't understand. Claire had unwittingly helped me get justice while advancing her own career, and I had proven that the most effective revenge isn't about tearing someone down. It's about making sure they destroy themselves while you're perfectly positioned to reap the benefits. Sometimes the best way to win isn't to break the rules, it's to understand them so well that you can use them to your advantage. Daniel had underestimated me, dismissed my business acumen as a hobby, mocked my age as a weakness. Those were the mistakes that would cost him everything. The story spread through business circles, though few knew the full truth. Some called it a tale of karma. Others labeled it corporate justice. For me, it was simpler than that. It was the result of someone who learned how to play the game and knew exactly when to make her move. That night, I raised a toast to Claire's success, to karma's impeccable timing, and to the sweet satisfaction of knowing that sometimes the best revenge is simply letting your adversary's own actions destroy them, while ensuring you come out on top.